We are staying on top of breaking news this morning. A gunman opening fire at Westgate in Glendale, sending 3 people to the hospital and creating a scene of panic at the entertainment district.
And overnight, law enforcement raiding a West Valley home. Early reports are that this could be the suspect's home. You can see them collecting large bags of what could be potential evidence.
We start our team coverage this morning with Jamie Warren, who is live near that scene. And Jamie, we know the suspect is in custody. What else are we finding out?
Yes, Nick, we are waiting for the suspect to make his first court appearance. That way we can learn the initial criminal charges brought against him. But he was taken into custody shortly after the shooting, and not long after that is when we got some new video this morning of police going in and out of a home here in Peoria. There were reports out here that this is the suspect's home. Right now, police are not confirming the suspect's name or what was taken out of the house, but we did see about a dozen detectives out here, and they removed 8 to 10 bags. The street was closed down and the home taped off until about 3 o'clock this morning. We also witnessed several people inside of this home leave. Now, we do expect to learn sometime today what exactly was taken out of this home. We're also right now working to speak with some neighbors who are in this community. But for now, we're live in Peoria. I'm Jamie Warren, ABC 15 Arizona.
Yeah, Jamie, police are still trying to piece together a motive and figure out why exactly the suspect might have done this. Well, the Westgate shooting happening just after 7 o'clock. People were trying to finish up dinner with their kids, spend some time with their families, just trying to have a night out. Our team coverage continues right now with ABC 15's Carla Navarrete, who is live at Westgate. Carla, I know you have been out there since the very early start of this. I mean, we see this happening in other cities, and we don't think it's going to happen here. And it just makes it all the more heartbreaking, I think, for people and families waking up this morning to this.
And you talk to some of the witnesses, and it's just heartbreaking, as you mentioned, to hear them say that they were stepping out for the very first time, and then now this has to happen to them. So I want to move out of the way, Nick, for a little bit and show you exactly where this shooting happened. We're talking about the AMC area, where a lot of restaurants and picnic tables and just green area is for you to have a relaxing time with your family. Unfortunately, this had to have happened. Now, within the last hour, I can tell you we saw police taking a white sedan, taking it out of the parking lot. They were looking through it, combing through it for a while, for hours, before they hauled it off. Now, 3 people are in the hospital. One of them was sent to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. We haven't gotten any new information as to how that person is doing. The other 2 are expected to be okay, but witnesses did tell us that the suspect had an AR-15. That hasn't been confirmed by police yet, but that he was simply walking around and shooting at people.
Because he was literally just right there.
He was. There was flip-flops right up. So the gate where you leave from the patio, there's flip-flops right there. There was a hat further down. There was a shell casing on the other side of us. What else? There was like a picnic area that people had just ran from.
Yeah, people just like took off fleeing. They left all their stuff. Everybody's calling like moms, dads, husbands, wives. There was even a little kid on the phone with his dad, saying there's a man going around shooting, and I
which
felt
made
so
me
bad.
so sad. Yeah, so sad.
Yeah, that is probably some of the hardest testimony to hear from people, that they have children, that children had to witness this and see this all unfold before their eyes. Now, of course, police are saying that if anyone was out here last night and they happen to have left moments before or even after the shooting and you didn't get a chance to speak to police, they are looking to speak with any additional witnesses. Now, we also know that the suspect basically surrendered to police. When they came up to him, he was no longer firing his weapon. No confirmation yet whether or not that was an AR-15. We're expecting to hear a lot more, as Jamie said, from Glendale police throughout today. That's all I have from Glendale for today. For right now, I'm Carla Navarrete, ABC 15, Arizona.
Yeah, and Carla, when you hear all those details, you just realize how much worse and how much more tragic all of this could have been. Thank you for that update. Now, another witness that we're hearing from right now, State Senator Martin Quezada, he tweeted, quote, "I just witnessed an armed terrorist with an AR-15 shoot up Westgate. Again, we're working to confirm the exact firearm he had." He says in his tweet, "There are multiple victims. I saw 2 victims with my own eyes, not sure how many others. I saw the shooter, being told not to say anything else about details until we speak to police. I'm okay, but lots of shaken up people." We will have continuing coverage on this shooting throughout the morning as the investigation continues. You can also get updates on ABC15.com and also on our free ABC15 mobile app. 5 past the hour right now. Nick Saletti here in studio. Kaylee O'Kelly, social distancing from home this morning. A lot of news to get to. A heavy morning, Kaylee. I know for so many families waking up to hear about all of this.
And at a time, really, probably the best day we've had weather-wise all season. So many people coming out for the first time since being in quarantine, which only adds the insult to this. We do want to check in with our meteorologist, Iris Hermosillo, for a look at what's going to be a change coming into the holiday weekend. Big time, girl.
Absolutely, yeah. Temperatures are going to be trending back up. So hopefully you kind of soaked in yesterday as much as you could with those highs in the mid 80s this morning. Still pretty comfortable, but we are at 66 degrees after dropping slightly down to about 65 early this morning in Phoenix at Sky Harbor. Winds at the southeast at 5 miles an hour. Still very comfortable if you want to get outside for a morning walk. Maybe you have to walk your pets here before you head into work or start your work. Our temperatures will be back up to 70 degrees by around 8 o'clock here this morning. And then we're warming into the 80s today, a little earlier, I think at around 11, with mid 80s by lunchtime. Again, for some perspective, yesterday's high was 86. We'll be near that by noon today. And then today we'll reach a high of 93. And this is just the beginning. Wait until you see how hot it's going to get in that 7-day forecast. I'll show it to you in just a few minutes.
Okay, Iris, thank you. Now to the coronavirus here in our state. We are now inching closer to almost 15,000 confirmed cases statewide. 747 people have died as a result of the virus. I want to show you this chart showing the number of COVID-19 cases up by 1,000 since the start of this week. In the meantime, Governor Doug Ducey, you may have heard his report yesterday. He says the state is moving in the right direction when it comes to COVID-19, but we are not out of the woods just yet.
This is a green light to proceed, not a green light to speed.
The governor updating us on the state's response. Our Mark Thompson joining us now. Mark, the governor emphasizing that we are still in phase 1.
Yeah, good morning, Kaylee. Still in phase 1 and still practicing that physical distancing, and we should still be avoiding crowds of up to 10 people or more.
Businesses can continue to open. We want to continue to practice social distancing. That's what's going to be important going forward so we can continue to return smarter and return stronger.
The governor said for the last 5 weeks or so, the state is trending downward for symptoms, COVID cases, and COVID-related hospital stays. The governor says that more needs to be done to protect seniors, correctional employees, and prisoners, with the state focusing on testing efforts for those populations. He also discussed schools, saying that he's hopeful that students will be in the classroom later this year.
We've had some very good results. Our plan is working. We're proceeding with caution, and that's because of the responsible behavior we've had from the people of Arizona. You can see common sense all around us, and I'm very grateful.
And we also asked the governor if we do happen to see another spike in cases, will he consider turning things back to more of those stay-at-home orders? And the governor said that he's going to use every tool that he can to keep tracking the data and making sure that when we do reopen completely, it is with the health and safety of Arizonans in mind. Reporting live this morning, Mark Thompson, ABC 15 Arizona. Back to you.
Mark, thank you. The latest unemployment numbers are out this morning showing another 2.4 million Americans filed for jobless aid. And we're learning right now that Arizona has more than $1 billion stockpiled to pay unemployment claims. It's the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund, but the demand is unprecedented. More than 300,000 Arizonans filing unemployment claims, and this is sparking a debate over where to find the money to backfill if the trust fund runs out later this year. Should the state set aside coronavirus relief money it has now from the CARES Act, or wait and borrow from the federal government later if necessary?
The CARES Act, you know, the treasurer gave parameters on the CARES Act to where we can utilize that for backup.
That's always an option for states. They could always use the general fund to pay things back. But again, they usually, it's the additional tax on employers that's used. Again, a small tax.
And I'm sure it's not an easy decision. State leaders want to assure Arizonans that those who are unemployed will get their checks regardless of that trust fund balance. And of course, we've reported on a number of issues people are having right now getting those payments they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first results are in. This is all on a national survey, and it gauges how this pandemic is actually impacting everyday people. It comes from the Census Bureau. It's the Household Pulse Survey, and it finds more than 10% of people are experiencing food insecurity. Almost a quarter of those surveyed say they're struggling to pay rent or plan to defer payments, and roughly 40% are saying they've been putting off going to the doctor. Now, this is just the beginning, because the Census Bureau is planning to collect survey results weekly throughout the summer. Up next here on ABC 15 Mornings, social distancing. It's a phrase that we've all become used to hearing it right now, but we are now learning how many lives could have been saved if we would have started doing this sooner.
Plus, how soon could theme parks reopen, and what is that going to look like as we continue to grapple with this pandemic? All right, it's 6:14 right now. If we can, I want to see if we can take a live look from Glendale as we continue to monitor the latest on a mass shooting at the Westgate Entertainment District. We know that 3 people were shot. This is video we're looking at. This is actually the live look right now that we just got. Again, I want to recap you on what's happening. We're getting the latest on that shooting at Westgate. 3 people injured in this, one of them in critical condition. Police were able to take that suspect into custody. Westgate remains closed today. And new this morning, police did take a vehicle away from the parking lot around 4 this morning. A white sedan was hauled off. Police are not confirming, though, if this belongs to the suspect. Also, detectives have taped off a home in Peoria. For hours, that street was shut down and several bags were removed from that house there. We're hearing it could be possible evidence. Let's switch gears right now and talk to meteorologist Iris Hermosillo at 1/4 the hour as we inch closer and closer to that weekend. Iris.
We are getting closer, that's for sure, but don't rush too much if you want to enjoy these temperatures that aren't too hot just as of yet. Now, yesterday was the coolest day we've had in about a month, highs reaching the mid-80s. Overnight, we've cooled down into the 50s to 60s around the valley, and at this point, I'm seeing a lot of low 60s still in the Phoenix area. So get outside, enjoy the morning conditions, or at the very least, maybe open up those windows at home, get some of that fresh air in. Our temperature at 66 degrees in Phoenix at Sky Harbor. We're down to 61, though, in Chandler, 63 in Mesa. Glendale, you're checking in at 61, and we're also at 63 in Goodyear with clear skies in the valley, sunshine across the state. Now, today's going to be a warmer day, so we'll climb back into the low 90s for highs this afternoon. So that means our temperatures will be warming a little faster than they did yesterday. So be mindful of that as you make those outdoor plans. You've got some time still. It's not going to heat up too fast to make it uncomfortable too early, but notice that we're going to be in the 80s, I think, by around 11 o'clock this morning. So 60s to 70s until then mid 80s by lunchtime, and then those 90s set in at around 2 o'clock. So if 90s start to get a little too uncomfortable for you when it comes to those outdoor activities, get them done before 2 p.m. today. Our temperature then climbs to 93 degrees. That will be our high for today, and that still keeps us a few degrees below the average high for this time of year. 30-year average is 96, so again, about 3 degrees of a difference there. Highs in the low 90s in Scottsdale and in Glendale and in Deer Valley, up to 92 degrees in all those areas. 93 in Goodyear, Laveen, Ahwatukee, Tempe, Chandler, and Gilbert. Very consistent temperatures across the valley, that's for sure. And we'll still reach the upper 80s in spots like Cave Creek and Anthem. Across Arizona, getting warmer in western Arizona with highs in the low to mid 90s there. Upper 60s today in Flagstaff and 78 for a high in Payson. We've got disturbances passing to our north over the next few days. We'll see some breezes at times, or feel some breezes at times, and see some passing clouds as we go through the weekend, but it's going to stay dry in our state. And these disturbances to our north will maintain our temperatures in the 90s as we go through the weekend. But then we've got high pressure setting up, and that's what's really going to heat things up next week. So after hitting 86 yesterday, 93 today, then 97 tomorrow, mid 90s through the weekend. As you're thinking about Memorial Day, those hundreds will be back with a high of 101 on Memorial Day. And then it's going to get even hotter by the middle of next week. We'll go from 93 today into the hundreds next week, and we could see 108 for a high by next Wednesday.
Ooh-wee. Okay, then we can look at this day as something that's really pretty at 93 degrees, right? Glass half full. Iris, thank you so much.
Right.
Let's catch you up on some morning headlines on this Thursday. President Trump today is heading to Michigan to visit a Ford manufacturing plant, but instead of producing vehicles there, ventilators are being made. Crowds are being asked not to gather as Michigan is still under a stay-at-home order. New research from Columbia University is finding if the U.S. had acted faster with social distancing policies, thousands of coronavirus deaths could have been prevented. The study takes a closer look at transmission rates from mid-March to the beginning of May.
6/18, the reopening of Disney Shanghai in China earlier this month, giving hope to theme parks everywhere. So could parks reopen this summer across our country? Video from Disney gives a glimpse of what we could soon see at its U.S. theme parks. Face masks, spacing, and temperature checks.
Disney Shanghai, and use that as our window. They closed in January. They're opening today.
Dennis Spiegel is president of International Theme Park Services, who consults parks around the world. He expects theme parks to begin opening in July. That is when Disney hotels will begin accepting bookings. In Florida, Disney Springs, formerly Downtown Disney, has already reopened.
There's going to be distancing and the queue lines and the restaurants and the merchandise in the shows and on the rides.
If the parks open this year, you should expect face masks, 6 feet of social distancing, appointments for ride times, and seating possibly in every other row. Parks may need to reopen at just 1/3 capacity, requiring advance tickets. Well, even on the roller coasters, expect to keep wearing that face mask. It might be tough to get used to, but it's just the new norm that we all have to expect.
Yeah, there's something that we can all feel good about. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Our school's trying to give graduates the honors and the pomp and circumstance they have earned. This is Cesar Chavez High School in Phoenix hosting a drive-through graduation. Love to see all those smiles out there. Here's something really cool and something different. Westwood High School in Mesa is holding a drive-in graduation, and it is a ceremony. Seniors and their families can get out and watch the district's graduation video at Digital Drive-In AZ. It's off Alma School, the Loop 202. Tickets are $22 a vehicle. Now, you do have to buy them in advance. I'm sure it's going to be very crowded out there, but organizers launched a GoFundMe to cover tickets for anyone who isn't able to pay. And you can find a link with more details to this story up at ABC15.com.
Well, coming up, your hired who's looking to bring on new workers may actually surprise you, but they're all changes brought on by this pandemic. We'll break them down for you.
Opening a restaurant is a tough task anytime, but during a global pandemic and forced to shut down, it's even more difficult. Now restaurants that were initially closed are able to open up once again, and they're looking forward to welcoming back all of us, even if the experience may not be quite the same as before.
Past couple of months have been extremely stressful.
That's Chef Gio Oso. You likely know him from his restaurant Virtue Honest Craft in Phoenix. But just 3 months ago, he opened a new concept called Pizzeria Virtue.
You know, so we just started to get our feet under us in a sense, and you know, to take the the rug out from under us was really, really difficult.
Even though those first few months are so important for new eateries, Chef Oso decided closing was the best way to protect his staff and family.
The safety of our guests, the safety of our staff. For me personally, I have a 4-year-old daughter at home that has asthma. So, with the unknowns that were at that time, I felt it more comfortable for myself than to risk, being exposed to this virus and then bringing it home to my daughter, because that would have been devastating.
Now reopening isn't just a choice, it's a necessity.
We have to pay the rent, so I have to open, and there is no choice at this point in time.
And he knows things won't necessarily be the same, but he's following all the suggested guidelines. What he hopes won't change is people's cravings for pizza.
It's a Neapolitan-style pizzeria, 12-inch pizzas, made the VPN way, the Vera Pizza Napoletana way. We are changing the menu like we do at Virtuonis Craft. It changes to seasonality and things that we want to experiment with and try to do new and different things. So it's not just the same menu all the time. We like to have fun with the food.
A fun fact we learned is that before Chef Oso took over that space in January, it was home to a different restaurant where Chef Oso actually worked 20 years ago. And we've been telling different restaurant stories throughout this pandemic, and you can see them all at abc15.com/open. And if there's a restaurant you love that we should highlight, email us at openandaz@abc15.com.
Yeah, kind of a full circle moment for them, Justin. Great job on this series. As Arizona and the country continue to rebound from this pandemic, we're seeing a shift in the types of places that are hiring. The jobs website, monster.com, is reporting an increase in searches with the words graphic designer and user interface developer. There's also a rise in business operations positions.
So that's really promising in terms of business solutions, financial managers, software developers, and networks.
Frontline healthcare workers and delivery truck drivers are still in high demand. Experts say if you're on the job hunt, try looking at your transferable skills that would be similar to jobs that you've had in the past.
Up next at 6:30 on ABC 15 Mornings, the school year wrapping up. Will kids be able to return to their classrooms in the fall?
And we're staying on top of breaking news right now. 3 people injured in a shooting at Westgate. We will have the latest details ahead at 6:30.